Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're looking at a concept that is absolutely foundational to every single one of us. We're going to examine the literal blueprint of our minds through something known as the architecture of emotional resilience. Think about that word for a second, architecture. It implies structure, it implies design, and most importantly, a solid foundation. When it comes to our emotions, we aren't just blowing in the wind here. There's a deeply structural way that we process the world around us, and understanding that structure is the ultimate key to actually mastering it. So let me ask you a question right out of the gate, and I want you to really think about it. When life suddenly throws a wrench in your plans, say a tight deadline drops out of nowhere, there's a jarring noise, or you get that passive-aggressive email from your boss, how do you respond? What actually happens in your mind and your body in that exact fraction of a second? We all face this kind of stress. It is a completely universal human experience. But our reactions? Well, as we're going to see, they follow a highly specific pattern that we really need to unpack. Section 1. The Architecture of Resilience, Understanding the Stimuli. Because here's the thing, when those external pressures hit, our reactions aren't chaotic and they aren't random. In fact, there are exactly two foundational ways the human mind responds. Just two. Knowing that there are only two foundational paths makes navigating our own minds so much more manageable. Let's see how this builds. Now, what's really interesting to note here is Section 2, State versus Trait Anxiety, the duality of stress.
Let's look at the first one, which is state anxiety. You can kind of think of this as your emotional weather. It's an immediate, completely temporary state. Your heart races because a car swerved into your lane right now. It's a highly situational reaction directly tied to a specific momentary trigger in your environment.
And then we have trait anxiety. So if state anxiety is the weather, trait anxiety is the climate. The word trait itself implies something built deeply into your framework, right? It's your overarching baseline. Two people can face the exact same stressful email, but they'll process it through an entirely different emotional blueprint based on their underlying traits. Seeing these two side by side really captures this duality perfectly. State is the lightning strike. It's the specific, momentary response to a threat right now. Trait is the root system, your general baseline tendency to react to stress over an entire lifetime. They are basically the two foundational pillars of our stress architecture. Which brings us to Section 3, the resilience threshold, the ultimate solution. So the crucial point is, build a resilience threshold. Think about a physical threshold at a doorway. It literally dictates what can and cannot pass into the house. In our minds, we build this same kind of block through things like cognitive reframing, consistent mindfulness, and emotional regulation. By actively fortifying this doorway, we get to dictate exactly how much of that external stress actually gets inside and messes with our internal architecture.
And that brings us to a really crucial question for you to take away today. When the pressure hits, are you reacting in the moment with state anxiety? Or are you operating from a deeper blueprint of trait anxiety? Figuring out your own personal architecture is absolutely the first step. The next, laying the bricks for your threshold. Keep analyzing your blueprint, keep building that threshold up, and I'll see you on the next explainer.